Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, hi guys. I'm putting you on my hairbrush because I think it will work. Yay, it worked. Okay. Welcome back. So sorry to keep you hanging. I ran out of storage on my phone, which I should have known would happen, but alas, we ball. I am back. Thank you for having me. Um, so where was I? I okay, I'm here. I really feel like this video is going to be like a 40-minute video because the story is very long. And I'm only just going to record for as long as my phone will allow me to record for. So I'm really sorry if it just doesn't let me record, that it doesn't let me record. I just have to charge it to the game and upload a part 4. Okay. So, 3, 4. Anyway, this is part 2. Thank you for watching. So back to business. I've been having dreams. I have been having dreams. I had learned, this is also, I just want to give you guys a timeline. This happened January and that dream happened in February. I didn't end up going to Samoa until May and stayed in Samoa like till early June. So anyway, basically that had happened. Beautiful. I was just like making a point at the end of my last video that it was so beautiful in hindsight, and it makes me very emotional because of what happened and how it played out, right? So one thing that I noticed looking back is that all of the dreams, I actually send it to my siblings. So there were so many looking back at my sibling chat. I'm the youngest sibling of many siblings. And one thing about me, I got youngest sibling syndrome where I just like, I chat when nobody asked. You know what I mean? Nobody asked. I'm like, here's a story you didn't ask for. I could talk underwater, quite literally. And like, thank God for my siblings for, tolerating me and all the crap that I say. But they've actually just been like, we've just grown to be appreciative of the fact that I just don't shut up. I would hope so. Anyway, I assume so. Lol. But anyway, I look back and at all the dreams. And so now that I remember all the dreams, I'm going to tell you them because there were so many dreams that occurred. First one, there was this one where my dad, me and my dad are best mates, but like we're worst enemies. We used to be worst enemies and we used to hate each other. Like obviously didn't hate me because I'm amazing and I'm perfect. What? Anyway, but I like, a difficult relationship with my dad. Like my dad, I really hope to bring on the podcast as well. If God wills it, he'll do it. Podcast, YouTube. I hope to bring my dad onto this like channel and like interview him because me and him are best mates. He's also hilarious. He's so funny. But I want to talk about like the reality of like going from like not having a good relationship to then our relationship completely transforming and in a very genuine way. Like we didn't transform our relationship in a fake way. Like we genuinely enjoy each other's company. We are real, and it works. You know what I mean? So anyway, my dad, I had a dream about him and me. I had a dream in February about me, him, and my mum, and we were at a resort, and my whole family was there as well. But me, him, and my mum we were like dawdling around together, loitering, and my mum and I were walking casually, and my dad started walking in the other direction. And I remember my mum in the dream saying, "Where are you going?" And my dad saying, "Oh, I'm going to the pool." And my mum was like, "You can't go to the pool. The pool's closed. There's maintenance." And my dad's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I know the guys. They're my friends." Like just some classic crap that like, a dad would say, especially my dad. And I just remember like such a random dream. So I was like, period, whatever. Didn't think about it, but because I constantly am telling my siblings every waking thought of mine against their will, I remember that. And then when we're in Samoa, it happens. So when we're in Samoa, it literally happens where me and my mum are sitting at breakfast and the pool is under maintenance. So the pool is literally empty of all its water. The buffet breakfast is right next to the pool. So I'm looking at it. It's also raining, and there's tarps, and there's an empty pool, and like steel poles and like random stuff happening at the pool. My dad goes to me, like, oh, like, I wonder how long it's going to fix the pool. Maybe like ask someone. I was like, oh yeah, you can like ask one and stuff, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, eating, munching, yapping, so grateful to be in Samoa. And then these three Aussie guys walk past in like, working gear. Not like high vis, but you can tell. They're there like, company polos kind of vibe. Anyway, these three guys, they all look the same. I think they must be related. They're like big stocky guys, white guys with like beards. And my dad's like, hey, like, are you guys from Australia? And the guys are like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, here we go. My dad talks to everyone and anyone. He does not shy away. He's also just like such a evangelist. Like he's constantly talking about Jesus and stuff. So anyway, my dad starts talking to them. He starts having a yarn. They're like telling him they're from Penrith and this and that. They're like, oh, how long are you on holiday? How long are this? Yeah, yeah. Out of nowhere. And this is just so telling of my dad. I want to protect my dad. You guys come for my dad. You come for me. Okay. And you're not ready for me. But my dad literally says to one of the guys, he's like, hey, you. He's like, be loyal to your wife. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, freaking hell, this guy. Are you serious, bro? Did he just say that? I'm looking at my mom like, come get your husband, bro. Are you kidding me? My dad, make sure you're loyal to your wife, huh? I was like, what? I was like, this is so classic dad, but I haven't hung around my dad in public. And I'm like, usually when we hang out, it's just one-on-one. We're at home or, we're driving or whatever. I forgot what it was like to be in public with my dad. This is some normal stuff for my dad to do. Obviously, like not this very specific thing, but like this kind of thing. I'm like, freaking hell. Cringe! You know what I mean? Ah, frick. Anyway, I'm like, Dad. I'm like kicking my dad under the table. My mom is just like, I'm literally like, I'm gonna implode. Do you know what I mean? I wish anyway, I'm not going to go on. But just know, I was an inexplicable cringe pain. And then the guy's like, awkward, dead silent, no reactions. The guy's just nodding his head, being polite. They're probably like, we didn't even have to talk to you and have this small talk. We just freaking work here. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking these guys must be thinking. I'm like, oh my God. Dad, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Anyway. So my dad, me and my dad are also like the same kind of person. Like I think like growing up with this kind of person raising me, like it's rubbed off on me in good ways. Like I'm not afraid to like call things out, but like expose people, absolutely not. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and also random accusations from the top of my head, absolutely not. Like insane. Maybe here or there. Who knows? Anyway. So I'm just like, Dad, dude, they end up like politely going on about their work day. Me, my dad eating and my mom eating at the same table. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, I can't believe you just said that. Like, I can't believe you've just done that. Me and my mum are going in on my dad. We're just like, why would you say that, dude? Like, what is, and they're 10 meters away from us. It's like, it's bad enough that he said that. It's worse that like, we had to sever the conversation and they basically just turned around. So I'm like, I can't even go in on my dad like the way I want to go in on my dad. Do you know what I mean? But my mom doesn't care. She starts like, dude, blah, 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 trying to, as best as she can, say that was just crazy. I end up giving it to him in but I'm really trying to like be tactful and wise about the way that I'm giving it to him. Because before this, me and my dad had a massive blow up. And what I learned from that blow up, even though we're besties, we had a blow up and we were both right, but it was just the wrong time. And so because that happened earlier in the year, I literally brought that back up when he did that thing to that guy. I was like, Dad, sometimes, what I learned from that last blow up that we had, you and me, is that sometimes, If you have a word and you feel very convicted, you just take that person at the right time in the privacy, and just like you have that one-on-one with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't say it in front of everyone. So anyway, freaking hell. Unreal scenes. So he's like, oh, damn. He's like, well, I gave him the thumbs up. Do you reckon he's okay? I'm like, do with that what you will. You know, like, it's your life. The damage is done. Whatever. You know what I mean? So, but it was just funny because when that happened and as it played out, and then I was reading back on the dreams that I had sent my siblings, I was like, that freaking happened in Samoa. You know what I mean? Like that vibe. Anyway, so that's something that happened. But the thing that it did to my heart when I was in Samoa was like all these different dreams accumulated prior, and that luckily for me, because I have not the greatest memory, but if I write it down, I'll remember it. So I'm a writer. So I'm like remembering all these dreams and they're happening in Samoa. Things are happening one by one by one by one. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So anyway, the other thing that I learned before I went to Samoa is that God showed me, I'm going to tell you the story, because like another way that he changed my heart wasn't just through, the validation, because I think the validation that I got from those dreams, having them months prior, them playing out in Samoa where I never thought I would be, it did something to my heart in terms of like, it really validated the fact that like the days and the steps that I was taking in Samoa, that I was almost like aligned and I was meant to be there. So I'll get into it more. Okay. So I want to tell you about another thing that happened prior to Samoa. Basically the whole thing that happened prior to Samoa was a softening of my heart to rely on God to take me there and to not worry about getting there. And that the purpose of me being there was much bigger than the worry and the planning and the security that I had in Australia. So I have this uncle, and this uncle lives in Samoa, and he's my dad's brother. So I think he's my dad's older brother. So this brother of my dad's, he's a minister and he like works for churches, and he basically works for a church that's in like Samoa, New Zealand and around Australia, right? Good boy, Princey. You okay? Good job. Okay. Anyway, so I do not have any reason to like have a relationship with this particular uncle. Like we're like ships passing in the night. Like if he's here, I don't know about it. I'm not going to see him. It's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I also don't speak fluent Samoan. So if he is ever here, I'm definitely like, hi uncle, like, do you want to eat pookie? Like, you're good, blah, blah, blah. If I'm at my parents' house, he's just like politely, what do you do for work? Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. But like, he's there to see my dad. Do you know what I mean? Not there to see me, or any of my siblings or whatever. It's just like the polite, whatever. It's whatever. Anyway, I try to say I have no reason to have a relationship with this uncle. Sorry, I'm still a bit snotty and gross, so you will hear me sniffing. So, again, I have a dream. Riddle me that. I keep having dreams prior to going to Samoa. When this one dream I have, it's my uncle, me, my dad, and my mum, and we're at a market, and it's like a manufacturer's market where like in China, like you can go to like suss out what people can make and this, that, and the other. Anyway, it's like my uncle and my mum and dad are there, and they're like introducing me to people at this market. And I was like, this is random. Anyway, I was just like, huh. But they were like, they were introducing me like I was a star. Do you know what I mean? They were like, this is my niece, this is my daughter, like, come. And then the people were like, oh, you're so-and-so. And they were like, yeah, this is our finest this, and this is our finest that. What do you think? And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to sell. That'd be cool, blah, blah, blah. Random. Anyway, didn't think anything of it. I woke up, though, and it was, like, on my heart. I was like, that's random. And every morning I would always wake up, like, if God gave me a dream, I was asking him about it. I was like, tell me what you want to tell me. What is this revealing? I was really meditating on the dreams. And I was like sending them to my siblings, and my siblings were, giving me their insight and input, and I was telling them what I thought it might mean and this and that. So, anyway, this particular dream was given to me at a time when me and my dad were icing each other out after a blow up. The thing is, when we had that blow up, the same blow up where I was like, that I referenced at the pool when I was telling my dad off, this blow up, like I'm telling you guys, I told you in the last video, I'm sensitive. Okay. So like when my dad and I had a blow up, I was crying every day. Like this is my best mate. You know what I mean? My dad and I talk all the time. The mother fricker is like always in fishing. So like, I'm just like, he's probably just fishing and just like going on about his life. I'm down bad. I'm like so caught up about it. I'm like, this is my best mate. Like, how can he not understand where I'm coming from? I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Where we were both right, but I was just like, I was just giving it to God, because I was like, God, I need you to transfer. You've transformed our relationship before. You can do it again. And I don't want to sweep it under the rug. I want him to, like, I just wanted to reconcile with my dad from a real place and not a fake place where we like sweep it under the rug and like go about our business. Do you know what I mean? So I was just like keeping my distance, protecting my peace, giving it to God until like I had the capacity to like talk to my dad. So because of that, my dad and I were icing each other out. We weren't talking, which was very hard for me because I always want to talk to my dad. Okay. So anyway, I wake up from the dream of the market, me, my dad, my uncle and my mum. And I'm like, that's random. I never think about that uncle. Super random. I charge my phone in my bathroom. So when I wake up, I start praying about it, thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. I go to the bathroom to go write my dream down on my phone. And I get a message from my dad. My dad had messaged me way earlier in the morning. And he's like, your uncle's here. He's here from Samoa. Go and see him. He's staying at my house. I'm thinking, I just had a dream about that guy. So I literally start praying. I was like, God, that's strange. Like, is this you? I literally like am walking around my bathroom. I was like, is this you? Like, are you doing something? So I'm thinking, it's 6 a.m. I'm getting ready for the gym. So I'm getting ready for the gym, putting my gym clothes on. I'm like, God, is this you? If this is you, I'll go, because I'm looking at my dad's location. He's fishing. So he's not going to be home. So I'm like, I can do that. I can do a little something. I can extend this olive branch. Like it was just comfortable enough for me to do, knowing that my heart wanted to reconcile, but I wasn't ready to speak directly to my dad. This was kind of like the perfect situation set up for me to do. Right. So I was like, kind of like thinking I could do this. Like if this is from you, God, like I could do this. So I was set to go to the gym, and I was in the car and I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, if this is you, I have work at 10. So I was like, if this is you, it's 6 a.m. I really can only go now, and then I can go to the gym after. Or should I go to the gym first and should I go there after? I was like, tell me what to do, God. But I was like, Grace, I'm thinking to myself, make a decision, girl, and be done with it. You know what I mean? Live with it. So I'm like, hit the blinker, go to my parents' house. I make my way to my parents' house. One thing that I had been really meditating and thinking about was the idea of like, in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to have like the mind of a child, like this kind of idea, right? And I was reading this thing by C.S. Lewis called The Weight of Glory. And it was like an essay from C.S. Lewis about how humans cannot hold glory. Like it is impossible. It's only for God to hold. And we have to redirect it. It would destroy us. And I kind of associate this with fame, that you cannot hold fame. Like everybody's going to want you to be their God if you hold fame, and for you to morph into what they want you to morph into. So at some level you lose control and you can't morph into the things that anybody wants. You can only be you, So the thing about God is that God is enough to fulfill everybody's needs. But a whole, like the essay in and of itself by C.S. Lewis, The Weight of Glory, amazing. But in it, he briefly like references the idea of having a childlike mind. And the thing about having a childlike mind is that it's natural for a kid to draw something and then hold it up to like their parent or a teacher and like be like, is it good? Like, you know what I mean? Like want praise, like the kid wants praise for like their efforts kind of thing. And they want to be acknowledged. And I really like, from reading that essay and studying it, that really was like on my heart. So like I started really taking that posture when it came to my conversations with God. And I was like, I was like, okay, God, I'm going to go to my parents' house. Like, is that good? Like, do you know what I mean? And then I started thinking like, okay, well, if you want me to go to my parents' house, you obviously want it to be me for a reason. So if I'm going to go there, I'm going to do it the way that I would do it. So I was like, maybe I'll go make breakfast. And I'm on a diet through bodybuilding. So I was like, I'll go make breakfast. I'll make all the things that I usually love. I was like, I'm thinking baked beans. I'm thinking spaghetti, fresh bread rolls, like salted butter, scrambled eggs, sausages, onions, like caramelized onions. And I'm just thinking, I'm saying all these things out loud. I'm like, God, what do you think if I like go and make breakfast and I make sausages and I make blah, 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 like fresh bread rolls from the local bakery, this, that, the other, like juice, this, I'm like, that would be nice. Like, I would love that. And that's something that like anybody can eat, not just my uncle. So everybody who lives at my parents' house can eat it too. So I'm like, I'll do that. I was like, what do you think? And I start to become like that kid where I'm like writing this shopping list in my head and I'm saying it out loud in the car as I'm praying and talking to God. And I'm like showing him my shopping list and I'm like, is it good? Is it good? I get to the grocery store that's near my parents' house. And it's like 6:30 or something. It's still early. Anyway, I get there and I'm walking into the shop and I pick up a basket and I'm like, okay, let's do this. I'm here to get some ingredients for breakfast that I'm about to cook after I break into my parents' house. Every single ingredient that I had said was on quick sale. So I go to get the sausages, they're marked down, like you know what I mean? Like clearance, quick sale, because it's like, it's going to be off that day or the next day or whatever. Like I get an odd bunch of like onions and like, all of the things are on sale. So I'm literally like, oh my gosh, like this is affirming me in my heart. I'm like, this is so amazing. So I'm literally like walking around this friggin' grocery store like a crackhead, laughing, so happy, so full of joy. Like, do you know what I mean? Just like, oh my God, like this path is blessed. Like, do you know what I mean? This path to breakfast table is so blessed, like whatever. And then anyway, it just had me in such an amazing mood. The other thing was that I was like, God, if you want me to go to Samoa, I need to start like I was tight with my money. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was like, just in case God really did want me to go, but I wasn't super convinced, like spiritually, mentally, and I really need more convincing. But I was like, I need to hold back on my money, this, that. So I was being a frugal ass girl, Anyway, so I was like, I'm so happy, and I'm like, God, this is you. Like, I'm walking in step with spirit, not ahead of spirit, not behind. I'm walking in step, and I'm like preaching to myself, ministering to myself, going to the counter, and I'm like doing my self-serve checkout, and then I hear God like convict my heart and tell me to draw money out for my uncle, and I know for a fact this is not from me, honey. Okay, because I'm a generous person. And money, anything. Money comes, money goes. But when it comes to like that point in time, not thinking about giving, I'm just thinking about the food aspect of it. And I think God is like telling me how to serve, how to be, giving me an opportunity to be obedient and to be part of the story of like his story. You know what I mean? Like his way to be used for the good. Excuse me, I'm burping. Anyway, my bad, excuse me. So I'm like, that's interesting. I was like, he got me in the perfect mood though. He really primed, my nervous system for me to receive that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to draw the money out. So I went to the self-serve checkout, drew the money out, paid for the food, broke into my parents' house, and I start cooking. It's 7 a.m. Nobody's awake, babe. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's awake. I start getting anxious as I'm cooking. I'm really like excited, and I'm like, oh, this food's gonna be so good, even though I can't eat it. It's gonna be cute, blah 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 blah. as I'm cooking and I'm cooking, I start to get really doubtful, and like a little seed of like intense doubt and anxiety starts to enter my head, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm cooking these freaking sausages, and I'm like, it smells so good too. But I start to think to myself, what am I doing here? Like, I just let a dream and a text message and like drive me from here to the store. The sales compel me, money drawn out, and I've broken into my parents' house so that I'm cooking breakfast. I'm like, I get so nervous. It starts to dawn on me the series of events that got me to to cook at my parents' house. Nobody's awake. I feel like I've lost my mind. I was like, oh my God. I remember thinking, this is freaking pathetic. What am I doing? Like, literally, what am I doing? My heart rate, I look at my Apple Watch, my heart rate's shooting up to 180, babe. I'm having a friggin' panic moment. It just dawns on me, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I'm like, God, what if nobody wakes up? What am I going to go do? Like, freaking knock on everyone's door? I was just hoping somebody would just be like up naturally, like, y'all don't hit the gym at 6 a.m. Like, wake up. Like, surely one of you is going to be awake. Anyway, I end up, thinking to God, like, okay, this is you, you're going to wake one of them up. So then I'm like, if not, I'll just wrap the food up in foil. I'll set the table. I'll put the money in an envelope, call it a day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, got the tongs, like turning these freaking sausages. Like, yeah, that's what I do. Just as the sausages finish, I clear the table. I make the table. I'm walking the sausages over to the table. All of a sudden, as I'm walking the sausages, the last thing that I cook to the table, I hear footsteps come down the stairs, and it's my uncle. And I'm like, thank you, God. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, period. Thank you. Let's do this. My uncle's like, hi, Grace. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, uncle. We hug. He's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, I pour him juice. I'm making him tea, coffee. And we start talking. He starts talking about why he's there. He's there for a funeral. It's like one of the Faifeaos, like one of the pastors, passed away, and he like came to like officiate and like this and that. So I was like, wow, period. Like, so sorry. Like, we start talking. He prays over the food. Does the most beautiful prayer, by the way, over the food. Thanks me. We start to eat, and he starts like talking to me. He's like, damn, last time I seen you, you were like bold, because I got a lot of law. I lived a lot of life, but like I used to have a shaved head, like when I was a teenager. I went through a phase. Anyway, shaved head, bleached hair, the lot, like my vibe. Anyway, so I was bold for like years, by the way, like years, like from a teenager to like my early 20s, bold headed, vegan, the vibe. Anyway, crazy. Anyway, so he was like, it's crazy. I haven't seen you since you were bald headed. And like, now look at you. He's like, you look so amazing. Your body is a temple. And he was just encouraging me with bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff. I love my family. My family's so supportive of like everything that I do. But it was nice to hear from my uncle, who I've never seen, that he was just like really like, do it, girl. You know what I mean? He was just like, yeah. And I was like, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, Uncle, I was like, we were talking about God and stuff, and how God is working in my life, and how God is working in his life and stuff. And then he goes to me, I go to him, oh yeah, I was like, I've got to go, Uncle. I'm like, speaking of, bodybuilding and this, that, I do have to go and work out at the gym. But it was so lovely to see. I was like, God told me to give you this. And I gave him the kupe. I gave him the money. And I was like, God told me to give you this. And he's like, wow. He was like, this is crazy. He goes to me, to be honest with you, Grace, like, he's like, I've just been reminded that nothing is too small for God to handle. And so he's like, I've been praying. He has glasses, and the arm of his glasses broke. So he went to the store to go get it fixed, but his card wouldn't work. I think because he traveled immediately, like from wherever, I picked up all of his stuff and just left. I think the bank was giving like, you're getting scammed. So it didn't work. And then he was like, I was too prideful because your dad and your family have like already taken me in on a whim. I didn't want to ask them for help or whatever. So he was like, I he was like, I was like, I'm going to give it to God. He's like, Lord, you know, I need my glasses so that I can study the word, so that I can give like a good word at this like church service for the funeral, blah, 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 blah. So he was like, nothing is too small for you, Lord. And he was giving it to God. You know what I mean? He was like, nothing is too small for you. Nothing is too small for you. Meanwhile, I show up, you know what I mean? Like, all glory be to God. This is not from me. This is me in obedience. You guys know how much I was doubting, and I, you know what I mean? You know the story now. So like, he's like, you show up in your obedience, and you not only make me food, but you like have the money. He's like, thank you, thank you. And I'm just like, thank God, because like I'm telling you guys, I have no reason to have a relationship with this uncle. We don't have any, you know what I mean? You okay, Princey? We don't have any reason to be in each other's business, or for me to extend to give to him, in this way. But God made a way, in my heart. So I was like, period. Fast forward to being in Samoa. I booked my trip super last minute. Okay. So like, I didn't even book it. This is a whole nother story, but basically God made a way. I didn't buy my ticket. My ticket was gifted to me by my dad. And my dad was like saying sorry to me. And he was like, this is from God. It's not from me. And that was how, like, another way that after the fight that we had, like, we were able to reconcile. So when he did that, he didn't tell me that he did that. My mum was like, just called me, and she was just like, let's just buy tickets. Things on sale. I'll buy it. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't want you to buy it. Don't worry about it. Like, even if that, like, I don't know about Prince, my dog, like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. Like, I have so many things going on, like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm buying it. Like, she's like, to be honest, it's your dad. And I was like, sorry, what? She's like, yeah, it's your dad that wants to buy it. He didn't want me to tell you. But obviously my mum is like, she can't keep a secret to save her life, honestly. I wonder who I get this from. Anyway. So she's like, he doesn't want you to know, but he wants to pay for your ticket. So, just take it. And I was just like, she told me while I was at the gym on the phone. So I'm crying in the gym. I'm sobbing. And I'm like, okay. Because I'm conflicted. I was like, just because you bought me this ticket doesn't mean we're all good. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't sweep it under the rug. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm like, but I messaged my dad to say thank you. And then he says, that's not from me. That's from God. Whatever. So because I booked my ticket so last minute, or because my parents booked my ticket so last minute, and they gifted it to me, or God gifted it to me, the words of my dad, this is from God. Do you know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, the way was made. I didn't have a passport. Okay. I didn't have a passport. So I had a passport, expired. So I needed a new passport. Mind you, I'm hearing through all the family group chats, everyone's getting their passport delayed. Do you know what I mean? Passport delayed. And I'm thinking, what? Anyway, I lie. What happened was, this was before my mum bought my ticket. What had happened was I had a dream. Oh, guys, it's coming back to me. I had a dream that I was at the airport. I was meant to go on a domestic flight. But instead, when I got there, they were like, no, you're going on an international flight. You're going to like Bali or something. And I was like, huh? I was like, I don't even have a passport. Woke up, I was convicted. I need to get my passport done. But it was this is like not even a month prior to us leaving. And my dad hadn't bought my ticket yet. Or my mom, whatever. God, yeah, whatever. So I'm like, God, if you really want me to do my passport, I'm like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? In faith. Let's drop a bag, do my passport, renew my passport, and then whatever. But I was like, I'm not getting express, because if you really want me to go, you'll get it here on time. And everybody in my family, all of their passports delayed, still not gotten it yet. They're checking the tracking. They're calling the freaking government agencies, whatever, whoever does your passport. I don't remember who. Post office, this, that, the other. I'm thinking, man, if I know you, God, you can do it. Like, you can send my passport early. So I don't even pay for Express, even though I needed the exact amount of weeks that it was going to take. Didn't pay Express. I was like, I don't even have a ticket yet. So if it was meant to be, I'll just get my passport, whatever. And then, do you want to go outside? Are you okay? Come up here. Come. Wow, these kids have no respect. Look, he wants to go outside, but he can go outside once I finish my job. So, basically what happens is I submit my passport to the post office Thursday. My passport comes to my door on Monday. Okay. Everybody else in my family still waiting for their passports. So I was like, oh my God. He wants me to go to Samoa. I was like, if it's your will, it's your bill. The passport's here, so where are we going? You know what I mean? And that was just kind of getting me like, maybe I do want to go somewhere. What do I do want to go somewhere? Anyway, so after that, Dad pays for my passport. I'm like, damn. I mean, not my passport. Dad pays for my ticket. I'm like, damn. All glory be to God. Thank you. And Dad's like, yeah, don't thank me. Thank your God. Because, yeah, you know. So I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because I booked so last minute, I didn't book my accommodation until like 2 weeks prior. And I was just like trying to book the same places that my family was booking, whatever. Expensive. So my family were also going, like, we were staying in Apia, but like there was 3 days where my family pissed off to Savai'i. And when I knew that was in their itinerary, I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, I am not going to pay because I need a car and then I need to get on the wharf, the ferry, sorry, get to the other island, book the thingy. I was like, that's too many moving parts. I'm just going to stay put in Apia and like in the hotel, like on my own. And I was like, God, obviously, I was like, this is what I want to do. But if you want me to go to Savai'i, you'll obviously make a way. But I can't do all that. Okay, I don't want to do all that. So I was just convinced I was going to stay in Savai'i. But I was also like, if I stay in Savai'i, I would love a car. You know what I mean? I would love to do the things that I want to do, like explore the island, do all like the more physical things and just like live my best life. So basically I ended up like praying. I was kind of inspired by my uncle. When I got to Samoa, I was praying. I was like, God, like my family are leaving soon. Everywhere that I look for like a hire car, they want to take your passport, but no like reputable places like Hertz and stuff. Like my family already like booked with Hertz their cars. So they gave their passports and they were just kind of like, yeah, it's whatever. You have to do it, whatever. But all the places that I was like last minute looking for bookings for cars, they wanted your passport, but they weren't like reputable places. So I was like so distrusting. And I was like, I'm already here on my own. Like, do I want to be here on my own with no passport? Like, pick a struggle, girl. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm just going to stay put in I remember praying. I was like, God, I'm going to stay put in the hotel. But if you want me to have a car, you will bring me a car. I was like, I'm just ready for whatever you want me to do, whoever you want me to talk to, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then, and then the night before my family go to Savai'i, my cousins from Samoa call me and they're like, man, you must be your uncle's favorite. I'm like, what uncle? And they're like, Uncle Augusto, this is the one who, the glasses, the food, the breakfast. They're like, you must be his favorite niece, mate, because he's been going to everybody asking, he came at 11 p.m. at night and asked if we have a car that you can have to drive around while everybody's gone. I'm like, no way. They're like, yeah, anyway, our parents are gone to New Zealand, so you could use their car. They said it's fine. I was like, you're actually kidding. And they were like, yeah, we offered it to your parents. They didn't want it either. So like, come and get it tomorrow. And I was like, oh my goodness. So, you know, my uncle, I just truly feel like he would not have done that for me if God hadn't set that previous thing up before. Do you know what I mean? And that relationship, it's like, I'm really realizing like God had been setting people in my path in order for me to have right relationship with them. And I don't know what, you know, my life is going to play out and you guys will see my life play out. You know, if God wills it, you'll see and have insight to it. But it's so cool to see like what that, you know, blossomed into in terms of like, now me and my uncle like have each other's back. Like what? Like this is so cute. So I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, thank you, uncle. Thank you, cousins. Thank you, auntie. Thank you, uncle. Thank you, God. You know, it was just bizarre. And then this friggin' car was such a blessing. The whole, like the time that they were gone, the time that they were back, I was doing the Lord's work in this car. Like this car, core memories were made in this car. I took like me and all my cousins went on a road trip in this car while my family was gone. I was able to just do like all the physical things, like, you know, all the hikes and all the beaches and like all the things that like you just can't do with the 20,000 kids that you know that are also on the trip. It would just take so much longer, but we were just pumping all these sites out and doing so much. And with my cousins, like who are now much older, and we were building like a real adult relationship now. So it was just so beautiful. And I cherish I didn't expect all of my cousins to be available to like freaking just like up and go on a road trip with me around the island. So even that, like, just like God knows me. He knows what I like. He knows what I want. And it's relationship. So even before like I went to Samoa, I was just like, help me to build like true, genuine relationships. Like, you know, in Samoa with my family, because I'm not there all the time, but I want them to know me and I want to know them. Like I want to make meaningful and genuine connections with them because I don't speak Samoan. I'm so disconnected with the culture. I'm so whitewashed, like Balangi coded, you know what I mean? Grew up, went to private school, like it's just different for me. Like, you know, anyway, so that was the vibe. In Samoa, there's this one story I really, really want to tell, but it involves a girl who I just really, like, she's just on my heart. I want to protect her at all costs, but hopefully one day I can have her on the podcast and we can tell the story together because it's like the main story of why I feel like I was meant to be in Samoa, amongst so many other things. Like reconnecting with her. I'll tell you the crux of the story, but like hopefully if she ever, I know baby, we go soon. Okay. You want to come up? Come up. No? Okay. Anyway, basically what? Okay. Look, I'm going to have to cut it short because my dog is kicking up a stank, but rightfully so, because I have been going for 40 something minutes. Anyway, I will tell you that story later, but give me some time. I want to also just like, hey dude, come here. Come. What's wrong? Sorry, guys. This guy, he's just like literally, I don't know if he's like stomping his feet, like growling, like he wants to go outside, which I will take him. Hold on, let me just quickly. Oh my gosh, I feel really bad. He actually just needed to go to the toilet. The poor bastard. Ugh. Give me a sec. Ah! Okay. We're back. So I was going to say, give me a sec to figure out how to wrap this up. Because basically, that's the other thing. When I went to the airport, yeah, I'm not done. When I went to the airport to go to Fiji, go to Samoa, like layover in Fiji, whatever, nobody knew. I surprised my family. I surprised my siblings. Only my mum and my dad knew. So by the time I left, my dad and I, obviously, we were like, all good. We had talked about it. We had moved on. I had learned, you know, the lesson of the blow up and prayed that I remembered that wisdom if I ever have another blow up with anybody else or if I'm ever in like a similar situation. Anyway, I digress. So much happened, like so much happened even before the flight. The days leading up, nobody knew that I was going to Samoa, and I was like, things were still occurring in my life. The storms were still storming. You know, the stress was crazy. The circumstances were wild, but I just knew it was going to be okay. Like, I just felt like the cumulative experiences that I had in being obedient to God, like those things playing out, like my consistency in bodybuilding, my relationships and people who held me throughout it. So many stressful things. Even the day of me flying out, there was like this incident with like a dog being mauled at the park, and it was annoying and it was stressful because I was like, I'm leaving my dog with cancer in the hands of like my mates who were going to take him there. I'm like, don't take him there. And I was just like, I just ended up, it just had me highly strung, and I had to regulate out of it quickly so that I could go. And I was also just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm leaving him. What if Mans dies? But he was totally fine. Anyway, obviously he's still fine and he's living, he's kicking. But anyway, before I got to the airport, I was so highly strung. I was stressed out. I was just like, oh, even to the point where my parents picked me up to take me to drive me to the airport. And they were just like, so you got this ready, you got that ready. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like telling them everything that happened in the last few days in that day. And they're like, what the heck? They're like, oh my gosh. They were like, well, it's okay. You're going to be in Samoa. It's all right, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, whatever. It was just surreal. I was just like, I couldn't even just leading up, I was still in this, catching bricks. It felt like in life, Anyway, get to the airport. I think when my dad, I can see it in my mind. My dad took my suitcase off the back of his ute and put it on the path, like at the airport. And it just hit me like, I'm leaving. I was like, oh my gosh, like this whole year I've been like, do you want me to go to Samoa? Do you want me to go to Samoa, God? If you go, you got to make a way. Like, it just like the flood of all of the questions, the flood of the whole process, the flood of just like me knowing so undeniably that God is working hit me when I landed at the airport. I start sobbing like a baby in the freaking, like the drop off, you know what I mean? Like to check into your freaking flight, like not your flight, your whatever, check your bags in. I'm sobbing like a baby. If anybody has that freaking airport security footage, you will see me. I'm just breaking down, like, like, you know what I mean? I'm crying like someone died. Like, I'm never going to see my family again, but I'm going to see them in 10 hours and surprise them in Fiji. But I am sobbing my tits off. And my dad realizes like, what? What's like, what? Why are you crying? And then he starts hugging me. He starts laughing and he's crying and he's laughing at me. And then I'm like, I can't believe it. I was like, I can't believe it, Dad. I was like, God is so good. I was like, God is so good. Like, and it was so beautiful because my dad has seen all of the things that had occurred, and so many people had been a witness to my life as well leading up to it. Like, so many of the people that I love, who I rely on, like in my family, and like my siblings and the dreams and this and that, like, me trying to keep it together. And then like me standing there just like fully made me realize like God is trying to break me out of survival mode. You know what I mean? And he wants to show me that I am his daughter. Like, he wants to show me how we can work together. Do you know what I mean? For the good, like, all things happen for the good of those who love him and who know him. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really getting to know you, God, like at my level. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I like, in my past, I used to be like, this is a whole nother like video maybe. But I realized in my relationships in the past with men, like, and wanting like a relationship with men, I really wanted to almost be used and like to like also like, it's this like weird thing where it's like I want to be used by men. I want to be useful. Like I want to work with a man in order to build something. And that's always been like my vibe. Like, in any relation, I'm like, what can we do and what can we build together? But in a lot of instances, like I in like the way that it's panned out, this sounds so arrogant. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to come out of my mouth, but I end up far exceeding the effort. Do you know what I mean? And so then it kind of like tips into, I'm like, well, where are we carrying the same weight? Like, the Bible talks about how like you should be equally yoked. And that's like this idea that there's two like cattle, and there's a bar that goes across it so that they can cultivate a field and they can plow and make way to like plant seeds in that field by like, digging through it. But if the one cow isn't like as the same like height, strength, whatever, like as the other one, and it's imbalance and the yoke doesn't sit straight, then they can't plow, and one of the cow they'll start moving in a circle essentially and not ever going forward to cultivate a field. And this is what it means. Like there's a saying in like Christianity where like you need to make sure that whoever you're with in business, in relationships, in friendship, that you're equally yoked, that you're able to carry the weight of the things, the same weight. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I never found somebody like that like in my life. I think I've fallen short. Others have fallen short. So I really look for people like, for friends, for people who can handle, like I'm a very intense person. I'm out the gate with it. You know what I mean? So when I am like that, like I'm not saying like, oh, you're not good enough, but it's just like, I'm not saying other people aren't good enough. I'm just like, I know the speed that I need to go at, and I know how I work. I know what I can carry, and I carry it well. And it's also just funny that like even literally I'm 100 kilos, and the way that I carry the weight genetically, it's just like so profound to people and to me. But I'm like, that's got nothing to do with me. That's got everything to do with God. And in that sense, I'm like, it's the same. Like God is showing me the weight of what I can carry and also what I don't have to carry, because Jesus also says that come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, like take my yoke, for my yoke is light. You know what I mean? My burden is light. And it's like, if like I put me and some other person under a yoke and we're carrying it together, that's one thing. But the thing about Jesus carrying the yoke is that when he's side by side, the yoke is light. It's light for me, but I'm walking in step with him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, God is so good. Anyway, this is the profound gratitude that I'm experiencing at the Sydney airport, okay? It is hitting me so much. I'm like, oh my God, God, you are so good. Like your burden is light. You know what I mean? Like you really, like he did not lie. Like the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but you came so that I could have life and have it abundantly. I'm like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is amazing. I love you. Like, this is crazy. Like, I also think that for other people, I noticed that like in order for God to get to somebody else's heart, he takes into consideration the person. Do you know what I mean? And what it's going to take for your heart to accept him, in a real way. And for me, there's so many avenues and cracks in my brain that I love to deep dive into. So it was almost like my whole life and the whole, however, like 9 months of me questioning whether I should go to Samoa and where I should not, and surrendering to him. So many things happened that made it undeniable in my heart and softened my heart and allowed me to walk in step with him so that I could experience and receive the full glory and joy. Like my heart was primed for all the joy, and I was just like sitting in it at the airport. So I'm not lying. I'm going through this friggin' airport, bro. Sobbing. I leave my dad. My dad's like, hi, you sucky girl, blah, blah, blah. Like, bye, see you soon. Like, he's so excited because I'm going to see him in 10 hours in Fiji. Excuse me, it's not alert. Anyway, so my dad's so happy. He's cracking up. He's having a jolly old time. I'm like, see you guys soon. Love you. Bye. I'm checking in, check my bags in, sobbing. I seriously think the people were just like, yeah, like you're all good. Like, I'm a mess. Waiting for the Sydney International gates to like open because it's that early in the morning. Sobbing. Like going through airport security, sobbing. Like, you know what I mean? Waiting at the gate, crying, drinking what I'm like, I have to put makeup on so I stop crying. That's like my thing is that in order not to cry, I don't want to ruin my makeup. So I'm like, I'm going to put makeup on. That'll stop me from crying. Didn't stop me from crying, babe. Sobbing I'm in the plane. I'm just like, thank you. I'm constantly praying, constantly thanking him. I'm on cloud 9. Okay. I'm on cloud 9. So there's even this instance where like there was this chick on the plane. Oh my gosh. There was this girl on the plane. I'm in the window and she's next to me. And I don't want to put this girl on blast, like, honestly, but this is how you know. Anyway, the girl had the craziest breath. And, you know, we all fall victim to like being traveling, not being able to sort yourself out. So I'm like, compassion, you know? But the breath, like being on this flight 6 hours, it's like I could taste her breath. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was also so tired. I was like knocked out on this flight. But it literally, like, she was, every time like she would open her, like I would look at her, she was asleep and her mouth was just a little bit open. Like, that's how she was sleeping. I would look over her and I would just be so pissed off. Even in my complete euphoric gratitude, you know, vibe, the breath was pissing me off. I was experiencing, even in my moment of like total gratitude, I was experiencing pure rage because I was so sleepy as well. And I was just like, it was like her breath was just creating this, like, you know, like when you look at a beach from a bird's eye view and you can see the current. I was just imagining like, it was like her breath, like the current of her breath was so like direct from her mouth to my mouth and my nose. I could taste the breath. Do you understand what I'm saying? Pissing me off. I would wake up of my sleep from tasting her breath and I would just look at her and I would just be pissed off because she was sleeping so peacefully. I was like, wow, must be nice. Must be nice. But also I was like, I'm like, God, thank you. I'm like, look, remind me, this is just a reminder. I need to stay close to you because I should be so lucky to be able to have this problem of tasting this girl's breath on the way to Fiji. Okay? It was putting some things into perspective and that's crazy. But yeah, that's the story of like how God, there's so many more things that happen, but I don't want to implicate people. But I hope that that is enough to convince you just of how God can work. And I honestly think, back to what I was saying before about how I really believe that if God knows your heart, like this is a big part of the Bible, is like, a big part of like having a relationship with God and what people talk about is that he only wants your heart. And there's like a lot of theological argument about whether God wants you to do work for him and all of these kind of things. But the thing is, it starts with your heart. Okay. So it's like, there's so many things in the Bible that I'm going to put out there for you guys to meditate on. One of them is that he only wants your heart and he knows your heart. The second, so there's this story in the Bible. Oh, sorry. I'll say this thing first. There's a verse in the Bible that says, the heart is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? Who can know it? God can know it. Okay. There's this also, that stems from the core idea that we live in like a fallen, sinful world, right? So our hearts, the DNA of our hearts have changed, like essentially. So now our hearts are like other things are able to get into it. So we can experience the depth of what it is of good and evil. So we can viscerally experience that through this new world, fallen world, this walk, you know? But anyway, so there's this idea that like the heart is wicked and deceitful above all things. This to me speaks to desires. And I have a background in addiction, right? So 12 steps desires, that's actually what brought me back to having a walk with God, is like this program, this 12-step program. And a big part about it is that like your desires can kind of like the way that you try to satiate your desires and the way that you try to fulfill your own desires, it can be a real hole, you know what I mean? And like nothing, it can get to a point where you do anything to fulfill the desires and realize that you get to the end of it and realize that nothing can satiate it. Like nothing can satiate the burning desire. It's just constantly burning, and the way that we do things, it's never really going to fulfill it. But like, yes, this is another thing. So the heart is evil, the heart is wicked, deceitful above all things. Who can know it? That's one thing. The second thing is God only wants your heart. The third thing is, even in this fallen world, he can transform your heart. So the Bible promises that he can take your heart of stone in Ezekiel. In the book of Ezekiel, it says he can take, I will take your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh, you know, of like this hardened heart that you have to God, like to all things good, or like to life, or like to not seeing the value, the true values of things that like will actually satiate you, like giving yourself to things that are only, that promise to give you life, but just don't, you know? That he will take your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Okay. So these are things that we can meditate on. The other thing is this story that Jesus tells one of his top dogs, you know, Simon Peter, that like Peter is like so loyal and has proven his loyalty through his walk with God. He's proven his doubt and overcoming his doubt and his loyalty and like walking with Jesus, this, that. And still Jesus says that he's like, you would deny me 3 times before the rooster crows, you know? And it wasn't this like party trick, like you're not really my guy, you know what I mean? But it was like, it was to prove, or like, I don't know, God can correct me, obviously. But to me, I'm like, this proves that Jesus knew Peter's heart, that he knew that he was going to deny him, and still he wanted him. Like he knows that we're going to fall short. He knows that like our desires there's going to be perfect storms for our desires to be able, regardless of how much we say we want God's will. I specifically am such a coward. So like, I'm so grateful that God gives me just enough, you know, of where I'm at in the circumstances that I'm at, knowing that that's what I can handle, you know? And I just pray that like I can continue to be obedient and to test his fruit and see that it's good. And that there's this, also this part, like these, in the Bible, it talks about having the faith of a mustard seed. And I've been meditating on that a lot, because God has given me a lot to do. And with having a lot to do and being somebody who loves to procrastinate, I'm like, God, I want my faith to grow. I want to be relentlessly obedient to you, because look at what you did. I don't want to get in my own way. You know what I mean? Anyway, so because of that, I'm like, I don't want to get in my own way. Like, please, like, get me out of my own way, but do it gently. Okay? I don't want to learn the hard way. So I think with that, I used to think like, oh, having the faith the size of a mustard seed, this is what Jesus says. Having faith the size of a mustard seed is often just spoken about in terms of like having the faith the size of a mustard seed will do much. But for me, in meditating on it, I'm like, I think I'm now seeing it in a way that's like, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, the mustard seed literally grows to be such a big, like it's substantial in size. It has deep roots, big trunk, like it becomes this like relentless growth. And becomes this like, super substantial tree that like then houses creature and creates shade and an ecosystem for insects and all these kind of things. Like it becomes way bigger than it once was. Do you know what I mean? And you can't transform, it can't become anything else. It can only become that. It's like the difference. It's more saying that like you had this and it transformed into that. Do you know what I mean? So even if you have this and you already have this, you don't even have the mustard seed. Yours might be, sprouting roots. Yours might be a full blown tree. And I'm noticing this. This is something funny that happens, like a dynamic between my dad, who's like the biggest prayer warrior, and my nephew, is that my nephew knows my dad, and my nephew has eczema and he has asthma, and my dad will always pray over him. And it's created this faith in my nephew where like even when they were flying to Samoa, my nephew was like kind of scared or like anxious to fly. So he was like, I want to sit next to uncle so that he can, he wants to sit next to my dad. He's like, I want to sit next to him so he can pray, like, what I mean, stuff. And when he's really itchy, like, because he's eczema, he will go to my dad and like be like, Jesus, can you heal me? Like, do you know what I mean? And there's something so beautiful and so childlike and so necessary that sometimes I do also feel like even though you might have faith and you might step in faith, this is what I've learned. Like because some things in Samoa still haven't come to fruition, but I have faith that they will because of he has been so faithful and everything comes full circle. Do you know what I'm saying? So some things haven't occurred, but I'm like, in a relational aspect, sometimes it's important for me to step in faith and show somebody that God wants to connect with their heart through me, not from me, but through me. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's like, hey, here's this money. Hey, like, here's this word of encouragement. Hey, like, are you all good? Is there anything that you need, in service to people? Even if they don't accept it, like, even if they don't accept whatever I'm trying to give them, whether mentally, spiritually, physically, a gift to them, and they don't have to receive it. But sometimes what happens is that they know that the tree exists. That sometimes when you're such a big, substantial faith person, like my dad, who, he's taken up space. Do you know what I mean? That kids can come and they can take shade under him and ask for prayer, over them. And sometimes when you already have that faith, this is what I've learned, is that people will then draw to you when they have the size of a seed, what's it called? When they have faith the size of a mustard seed. Because before that verse, it talks about judging people with the same weight that you judge them with, that you will be judged with the same harshness that you judge others with, right? And something about that is that like, you can say, oh, you don't have the faith, or like, but you knew if you stepped in faith and you knew all of the things, like if I stay humbled to all of the things that God had done for me in order to strengthen my faith, then I know that it took all of these unique accumulation of things in order for me to flourish and become. And I don't even think that my faith is fully flourished yet. Like I feel like I'm yet to like, accumulate the rings in my trunk. That's how you can tell the age of a tree. Yeah. You guys get me. Anyway, yet to accumulate the rings of the trunk of my tree. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like, what am I saying? I'm thinking sometimes people need to know that you just need to plant that seed and allow yourself to continue to flourish, continue to grow in your faith journey, and know that like, it's just your job to get to becoming a mustard tree. It is not your job, you know what I mean, to do anything else. And the thing about judging people from a fair place is obtaining and sustaining the wisdom of knowing what it took you to get from A to B. Because the wisdom then allows us to look at people's lives and look at people's journeys and say, oh, I know where you are right now. Keep going, babe. You know what I mean? I know where you are right now. Oh, you're having dreams, or you're following them, or you're being obedient. Like you're doing this, like you're doing that. These are all things that I had to go through. Do you know what I mean? Across life. and encourage people to keep doing that kind of stuff because it's so important. It's good to judge people and judge people fairly. And that almost rids of the negative aspects of judging. It's just you're judging with assertiveness of like, you are at this place. It's neither good nor bad per se, but it is what it is. And what matters is that you're moving in an upward, forward trajectory. God is showing you new horizons that speak specifically to you and your faith in Him from your body, the unique amalgamation of your heart. Because who can know your heart? He can. Who? He can. Did any of that make sense? Thank you, Lord. If you really, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Thank you if you listen to this whole thing. I don't have any plans to have any structure to to these talks, but I pray that God continues to speak to me and to my heart to share with you guys how He's been working. I think also God has put it on my heart to like write a book. Not like write a book. God has put it on my heart to write a book and to use my voice and things like that. And I think that nothing will go in vain in me stepping forward. This is the other thing. Now I'm remembering some stuff. Thank you, Lord. This is the other thing. When I came back from Samoa, mind blown. Okay? Grateful. I came back and I was definitely depressed because who wants to leave Samoa? Not me. Who wants to go from sun, tan, vibe, everyone's cooking and cleaning for you, to the reality? You know what I mean? But when I came back, I was so grateful and just, I was like, who am I to put a boundary on what you can do in my life?